You're listening to New England Real Estate Journal Radio with Rick Kaplan, New England's source for commercial real estate news. This is New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
Welcome to the New England Real Estate Journal Radio Show. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson, and we're at the top of the, actually not the top, the 12th floor of
Still
the
high enough.
Troy Boston building that they're placing the final beam on the top of the building.
Is that what they call it, the beam topping?
Yeah, well, is it the beam topping? I think they just call it the topping.
The topping.
And we're looking over the city of Boston, which is on a beautiful day like today. It's a gorgeous sight.
It is. You don't realize how big the city is until you're in the middle of it and on top of it.
And, you know, it's the first time we've ever done a show without any walls or this high up from the ground.
And with this big of an audience, too, behind us.
That's right. We got a full crowd here.
We also have hard hats on.
We have hard hats on. we have hard
Let's stop right now.
We have hard hats
It's
on.
hard enough
And
to speak this.
All right, we're not going to go any
A couple
further.
hard heads and a couple hard hats.
Yeah.
Check out the Troy Boston building. We're really excited to do this show here. Hopefully we'll have a few guests that are going to talk. I know that
they have
the speaking
Mayor
program
Walsh.
will take place.
Mayor Walsh is coming in.
And beautiful location, apartment buildings they're putting in here. I'm excited for the show.
Yeah, no, this is pretty exciting. Be
It
up
is.
this high, looking out, no walls.
I'm always this high. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No walls, you know.
Yeah, it's the wind. I don't
wind's
know
blowing
if they
in.
can hear it, but we can definitely feel it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's amazing.
I mean,
we're
you
lucky
can-
to do a show here.
If you look over to the left, you can even see the Boston Harbor.
You can see the
area.
Boston Harbor. You get the highway to your left. You've got pretty much. You got a complete 360 view of the city. You're right in
right.
the center as you come in.
This would
And,
be a beautiful place to live.
It is. It's going to be a beautiful place for some people.
You know, and actually you can stand up here, you can look out over the Southeast Expressway,
Yeah.
and you can see everyone sitting in the traffic.
Yeah, well,
You know, I'd rather be standing up here than sitting down
very
there.
much so. We did get a little bit of traffic coming in. If people don't know where this is, we're on
It's Traveler Street.
Traveler Street, right near the Medieval
I think
Manor.
it's 100 Traveler Street.
We are right next to the Medieval Manor. I can see the building from here. That's how
This
I
is
recognize
actually
it.
what they call the ink block area.
This is the ink block.
And this used to be where the Herald building used to be.
Oh, nice.
And they're
little
building,
fun fact from Rick.
Yeah, they're
Thank
building
you.
all these condominiums and apartments.
Yeah.
And I assume they'll have all kinds of shopping that will be coming into the
Yeah.
area as well.
I agree.
So, I mean, they're doing a very nice job here, and they're redoing this whole part of the city.
Yeah. Rick, why are you holding the mic?
I'm holding the
You
headset.
look like a radio operator that's taking an emergency
I'm
call.
holding the headset because it makes it easier for me to hear.
You're
But,
like, hey. Oh, you're like on a helicopter ride. Mayday,
well,
mayday.
yeah,
we are down.
I'm getting some of the wind, you know, into the headphones.
Into the headphones?
But you know, I'm really excited to be up here.
I can tell. I thought this whole show you were going to talk about your fear of heights.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, well, that's because we're in the center.
Well, that's what, we're on the 12th floor. They said the 19th floor.
Does 7 floors more up make a difference?
Yeah,
Well, I think when you're up this high, you're up this high.
it does make a difference.
I guess it does to people with fear of heights.
But no, I'm glad to see that they have the floor done. You know, I
Yeah.
thought we were going to be walking in between beams up here.
Oh, really?
And and there's a roof over our head.
They don't let superstars like us up here without safety precautions.
Yeah,
I mean, they
thought-
came in to check the elevator yesterday. They knew what was going on.
Yeah, no, and they have it all set up. They had a guy at the elevator. I
Yeah.
thought we were going to be hoisted up by this crane out here.
It's our very first union radio show as well, where everything that had to be set up had to be done by another member of the union.
Yeah.
It made our production staff of Corey and Matt really excited.
Yeah, that was less work they had to do.
Exactly. You know, especially from us, us high demanding divas we are. How was your week last week?
Actually, last week, it was so long ago, I don't even remember.
I know that I was on the If Schmooze cruise.
Oh, that's right.
That was a blast.
Right outside of Boston Harbor.
Yeah, we left the Long Wharf. It was another fantastic event put on by that association.
It
They
was
did
a good thing you
job.
weren't on that whale cruise that went out yesterday.
Yeah, the one that stay out in the harbor all day.
Yeah,
That
stayed
was
out
bizarre.
overnight.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That was a bizarre story.
And I also want to mention Revere having that tornado.
Oh,
and that was pretty devastating for that area.
Right,
which
right.
we're not used to getting tornadoes around here.
No. When you think tornadoes, you think flat ground. You think Nebraska, Oklahoma,
And
Arkansas.
Right, and our thoughts go out to all those people that had all the damage that was caused from the tornado. But I think we're going to go to a break. When we come back, hopefully we'll have some guests. They're going to have a few speakers.
Right.
And after the speakers come on, we'll try to pull some of those guests on and talk a little bit about what's going on in the city and in all of this ink block area, what's being developed here, and also this Troy Boston building.
All right, sounds good to me.
But right now, we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
The next level in commercial real estate. This is New England Real Estate Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan and Eric Wilson. And Eric, you want to introduce Kelly?
Sure. We're joined by Kelly Saito, the president of Gurney Eland, and they were one of the designers of this building?
One of the developers.
Developers of this building.
So when did this whole concept start up?
Well, as Justin Krebs, who is a partner with Normandy Real Estate Partners, said earlier, he bought this property back in 2007. So the original kind of vision for redevelopment of this area goes all the way back to then, which predates the Herald site being redeveloped. It predates kind of the entire rezoning of this part of the south end.
No, it's been very positive. All the community around here, from what I understand.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of momentum around all of these projects that are happening in this part of the town. There's certainly been a tremendous amount of support, not just today, but through the past several years as kind of that entire process of rezoning and planning for these different types of projects to happen here have occurred. So the community support has been tremendous.
My question is, why is it called Troy Boston?
It's named Troy Boston, actually. So that goes back to the kind of historical train yards that were in the area, and the streets were actually named from the rail yards, and one of the streets was named Troy.
Oh, okay.
And it goes back to the same rail yards that basically linked between here and in New York.
Okay. I didn't know if it was the great city of Troy. Way back in the day, I was like, oh, maybe they named it after that to build this great castle.
So how many stories, how many apartments will be in this building?
So this project has two buildings. One's 19 stories, one's 11 stories. There will be a total of 378 apartments in the two combined buildings.
And will it be retail on the floor?
There'll be commercial retail on the ground floors, fronting Berkeley and Traveler Street.
Nice.
Now, are you renting them currently? Have you started?
We are going to launch our marketing campaign in the coming days. So it'll come right on the heels of basically this ceremony and this announcement of Troy Boston and the name and all of that.
Now, you also mentioned a truck that will be driving around.
Yeah, so we did something different here, where instead of kind of creating a traditional marketing center where you rent a space and you build it out and build models, we took a food truck. I mean, it's literally a food truck, and we modified it to be a mobile marketing center. The outside of it is wrapped and branded in kind of the Troy Boston logo, and then we'll do all of our marketing kind of from that truck. The truck can be parked here at times. We can drive it around the south end through the neighborhood, take it to different events that are happening in the community. So we hope it'll be an interesting and unique approach to marketing a project.
Well, it does sound,
it is. It sounds
because
like a good idea.
you're moving around your marketing offices as opposed to keeping it in one location. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Kelly, and
good luck to building this out, and hopefully we'll be back during the groundbreaking.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's a great project.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Rick Kaplan and Eric Wilson, right here on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com. New England Real Estate Journal Radio.
And we have our next interview from Troy Boston with Justin Krebs of Normandy Realty Partners. Did I do that right?
Normandy Real Estate Partners.
Real
but you
estate.
got it.
Okay.
You can always
Oh,
abbreviate
so
things,
close.
keep it going.
I was so
That's
close.
just fun.
So tell us a little bit about how this whole project came about, your vision of this project.
I think this vision is is really something that's special that came together. When we originally acquired the site back in 2006, we actually acquired it before anything was going on at the Herald site. It was a disposition from Teradyne. It was over an acre, so we could do a PDA, which allowed us to come with a larger development plan on the site. But what we saw was that there were only a few parcels left to fill in a neighborhood. A lot of times people are looking to like recreate a neighborhood or redo it. This was just filling in some of the final blocks. We felt this was an important one, felt the Herald site was an important one. So back in '06 we began working with the city and the BRA to figure out what would make the most sense. Originally we planned this, it was going to be a 2-hotel project just because of the needs of the convention center and kind of where the market was at that time. About that time that we finally got that figured out, the market went into a downturn, and the city suggested a citywide planning endeavor, which was called the Albany-Harrison Corridor Planning, which rezoned the entire south end area along this corridor from Harrison south to the 93 underpass. And what that did was really set up for a more logical and concrete way to develop the neighborhood. It included us being able to get a height of up to 200 feet because of our bordering the I-93 overpass, and because of a recognition for the need for that. It also kind of created a buffer to the neighborhood where the height was anchored on this end and then allowed respectful development to kind of occur from this corner on that end.
Now, is this going to change the whole outlook of this part of the city?
Well, we think that this project and some of the other projects in this neighborhood, including the ink block site that National's doing, what Ron Drucker's doing, what some of the other developers in this area, I think it is. I think we feel like we're proud to be one of the catalysts that saw the vision early, recognized that we were going to need to work through it with the city, and we've come up with what we think is a great project. It was fabulous to have our partners Girding Eland come in because Girding brought a lot of the, I'll call it high design on the residential side, a lot of the green technologies that we were sporting to explore as a firm, but they had done that over at 319 A Street. So we feel it's a great partnership, and it is really the coming together with the vision we saw back in.
And it's a perfect location because you have a gorgeous view from every corner of this building,
Right,
from the city.
That's one of the key things here, because of the existing setbacks and some of the existing zoning, and because we're right on that edge. Our views should remain this way for a very long time. And I think you said it, and Kelly said it in his interview. I mean, when you look back, the view out to the rest of the south end, the view back at the Back Bay, out to the city, out to the South Boston and the harbor, you really can't get anything better than this. And it is a really fun and eclectic neighborhood, which is also one of the things that both we and Girding wanted to target.
And
Right.
when do you think this is going to, they said 5 months that you'll have people actually in here?
Yes, so I think the targeted strategy is essentially we'll go into kind of the pre-leasing endeavors at the end of this year, and we'll be starting to have people lease and occupy the buildings early next year in 2015.
Wow.
That'll start with the mid-rise tower because that's a little bit ahead on the development cycle, and then it'll be finished up with this project.
Is there a website that people could go to see a little bit about the project, or even information about maybe even renting?
Yes, I think it's troyboston.com. I can confirm that, but
that's-
I'm almost
that's easy
positive.
enough to
yes,
remember.
Worst case, you can always Google Troy Boston.
That's right, but I'm pretty sure the actual it's troyboston.com, and you can definitely, if you Google Troy, Troy Boston, you'll be able to come up with the website. But it's full detail on the design, very unique, some stuff that they brought from the West Coast. So I think it'll be
Nice.
innovative and different than some of what we've seen in some of the more traditional residential development in
Yeah,
Boston.
we'll be interested to see the completed project.
Yeah, we'll be here for the groundbreaking.
We'll look forward to having you guys come back. Maybe we can even get you a place, and then you can experience the
Yeah.
neighborhood and
Yeah.
all it has to
Yeah.
offer.
Now you're talking.
Now you're talking. You've sweetened the deal. Maybe.
Exactly.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you so
We
much,
appreciate
Justin.
you coming on.
Appreciate
All
your
right.
time.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan is right here on the Money Matters Radio Network. New England's commercial real estate scene is covered right here on the Money Matters Radio Network with Rick Kaplan.
And we're back on the New England Real Estate Journal radio show, and we're back in the studio, right, Eric?
We are.
We were
Outside
on
yesterday.
Yeah, we were up on the 12th floor. But we're going to continue our show. We have a guest in the studio today with us, Paul Dion, CPA. He wrote a book, The 10 Most Expensive Tax Mistakes That Cost Real Estate Agents Thousands. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Rick. Nice to meet you.
And we know that real estate agents do not like to spend thousands or lose thousands.
Correct.
So tell us why your book can help them.
Okay. Well, what I've found is that almost all real estate agents are independent contractors. They're not employees of their brokers. So they all operate as sole proprietors, which tends to be the most tax inefficient way for them to operate. I try to sit down with them and make a decision about what's happening in their lives in terms of their family, their own situation, and determine what's going to be the best way for them to operate. At the minimum, they should be an LLC. That may not be the best way to start, but it's an important thing from a legal perspective. But from a tax perspective, there's some significant tax savings if we're talking about successful agents.
So you're saying you're saying that's not the best way for them to be independent?
As a sole proprietor,
A
it
sole
is usually
proprietor.
the worst way for a real estate agent to be operating.
Now, why is that?
Well, it's the highest way you can pay taxes. You're going to pay income taxes on the profits you make. You're also going to pay self-employment tax, which is Social Security taxes on your earnings. And so there are ways to be able to structure yourself, for instance, with an S corporation, where you can cap the self-employment tax. Just as important, there are some opportunities once you've structured the business right to take advantage of other fringe benefits in your business, depending on whether you have employees, whether they be family members or not. And so those are opportunities that are in place if you're structured properly. You really need to sit down with an accountant and talk about your personal goals, the business goals, how much income you're expecting to make, and all of those have an impact on those decisions.
Now, is it common for real estate salespeople or brokers to be independent, or is it do some of them work for some of the larger corporations?
I'm sure that there are some out there because I'm told that there are, but I have not met one yet. Every agent I have met has been an independent contractor. There is a requirement, as you may know, that agents have to belong to a broker or be a broker themselves. Most brokers have been smart enough to be structured either as a corporation or an LLC, but agents typically don't seem to do that.
I was going to ask you, how did you, when you wrote your book, how did you come up with those 10 that you chose? It says 10 most important. How was that through, years of experience?
Yeah, basically what I took a look at is I initially created a seminar to present to real estate agents, and I took the book and fleshed out the seminar into the book. And I really picked the items that are most tax efficient and available for real estate agents than anybody else. The book can really be dealt with any kind of business, but I structured it specifically for the real estate agents out there to be able to identify what they can take care of. And although there can be some strategies that cost money, I really picked the no-cost, low-cost strategies that someone can implement.
All right.
So a real estate salesperson, because that's how you have to start out, as a sales associate or
Correct.
a real estate associate. They tend to be employed. They're not independent, right?
They're all real estate agents are independent contractors of the brokers.
Right.
There
an
are none
agent
that are
is,
employed.
But to start out, usually a salesperson, you have to start out, I think, the first year as a sales associate.
I haven't met one yet that was an employee of a brokerage firm yet. The only time I've seen that is where somebody might be doubling as a receptionist and also being a sales agent.
Oh, that's interesting, because I always thought when you have your license,
Right.
when you take the test, you pass, you have to become a sales associate for the first year. And then after that, you can become a broker.
A broker license is different from an agent license. A broker, if you decide to take the test for both the real estate, become a realtor, and later take the broker license, then you can operate independently and have your own location, whether you're a one-person or multi-person location with the brokerage license. If you are a realtor and you are not a broker, you have to be aligned with a broker of some kind.
Okay, so that's where the independent contractor comes in.
Correct.
Once they become the broker, I'm assuming, because I know that if someone just getting their license, I'm sure they're not going to start their own independent company until they know that it's something they're going to continue with.
Right, and to your question, that's part of the reason why most realtors operate themselves as independent contractors, as sole proprietors. I guess some are testing the waters to see how they're going to do and grow from there. And quite frankly, there's not a lot of money I can save an agent who's just starting out, hasn't got a particular sale to be made yet. There's some small money to be made. The real money comes with someone who's earning a commission and getting some actual sales in the process.
What about brokers, or I should say agents that work from home? You know, maybe they don't use their office that supplied to them from their brokers. What about like their office home? Are those,
Right.
Is there tax breaks for those?
That's one of the things I try to bring up to them, because a lot of agents will work out of their broker's office and don't know that they can take advantage of an office and a home deduction. There's an awful lot of fear out there over the fact that at one time the IRS was strong against going off after office in a home. If the substantial administrative functions are performed in the home, even if you have a space at the brokerage firm, you can take an office and home deduction. It can be worth anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 a year on the tax return as a deduction, depending on your tax bracket, how much you're going to save. But more important, by establishing the office and home, you've established that as your tax home. Now every trip out of the house is tax deductible mileage, and there's no commuting costs involved. Not that that's a big deal if the brokerage office is close by, but it can come into play if you're having to go significantly in and out of that office and pick up all those miles.
What about most millennials are looking for that flexibility, the new workforce that we have coming in. What about mobile phones? Like I would see that. How do you say? Maybe my home office is just my mobile phone wherever I go. Is my office is with me. So how do you figure out that type of thing?
Well, if you're saying that they don't have an office in the home or an office to go to, then there's no deduction to be able to take for either of those two. And it kind of creates an issue of the mileage.
Right.
The problem then becomes if they don't have an established tax home, say the office and a home, the first trip out of the house is non-deductible commuting, and the last trip back is non-deductible commuting. That's why I usually try to establish somebody with an office in the home with exclusive use, because I'm trying to make sure they can take full advantage of those mileage deductions.
Do you think the IRS will, adapt to what we want, which is mobility? We want a mobile office. Will they some way down the line?
Well,
recognize
if
that
Congress
we don't-
changes the rules, probably yes.
Okay.
The other challenge, what you just described, though, is that we're talking about real estate agents who are independent contractors. The rules for an office at home are entirely different when you're an employee working with somebody with a W-2.
Okay.
Now you can't take advantage of substantial administrative function
Right.
as protecting you. The company has to decide for you that it's their convenience to let you work out of their home instead of their location.
Okay.
Let's say they decide that they've got a 2,000 square foot building and they ought to have a 40,000 square foot building, but they solve it by having everybody at their homes. Then you're going to be able to accomplish getting in the office and home deduction as an employee. But it's not at your convenience when you're an employee, it's the company's convenience.
Okay.
Changes the rules entirely.
Right.
Right, but a home office can be considered anything that would be a place where you would go to do your work, like an apartment.
Right.
or-
But it's got to be
or-
exclusive use, and it has to either be a room set aside or a part of room that can clearly be identified and set aside and not used for other personal uses. The minute you have any kind of personal use for that office and home, you wipe out the deduction completely.
Oh, so you have to have a separate room
Yes,
to be able to take that deduction.
that's correct.
Oh, so you couldn't have a desk in your family room that you work out of.
The only way that would work is, let's say you have a large master bedroom and one end of the master bedroom has a desk, and you've got a clear way that you can mark off that space and its exclusive use. Then you could take advantage of that. Usually it's better if it's a separate room. It's just a lot cleaner to kind of to deal with that. But it can't be an office by day and a den by night.
Well, that's pretty interesting. And so there's quite a few. Sounding like there's quite a few benefits to be an independent operator.
That's correct. It's better for the office and home deduction. It works better, and quite frankly, any and all of the deductions I talk to people about work better when you're a business owner than if you're just a self-employed W-2 employee. It doesn't work as well. There's not as many opportunities to be tax efficient.
So now you have your home. You have. And when you, like Eric just said, your cell phone, the mobile
Right.
devices that you use.
Right.
Now, those can all be deductions.
Those are all deductible. The challenge with cell phones is at one time the tax rules were that you had to prove what was business use, what was personal use. It's now that you have a situation with cell phones where you just get a contract and it's wide open. It's kind of difficult to do that. Usually we're having to sit down and make a decision on a percentage basis how much is business use. There have been a couple of court cases where the IRS is really strong against anybody trying to claim more than 75% business use. So I usually advise clients against going above that threshold.
So what if you had a cell phone or a tablet and the account was strictly under your company name or your LLC?
You'd probably have to find a way to prove that there's no personal use and it's all business use. The challenge today is most of us use those devices independently doing both items. I can't picture anybody wanting to spend money to have two cell phones or two tablets to be able to segregate that. It just becomes too cumbersome.
Right. Yeah, well, I guess that, if they saw that you only had one cell phone, it's hard to prove that you weren't using it for personal use.
Right.
So what are some of the other deductions that they could take?
Well, the other thing, especially with business owners, I have them take a hard look at is what's the situation with medical expenses. There's an opportunity in the tax law where you can take a deduction for medical expenses for your employees. So a lot of times, especially with real estate agents, if their spouses can provide time and availability to them in the business, I usually have them set up where the spouse is an employee of the business, the spouse has the medical insurance, and we're able to take a full deduction in the business for medical expenses, co-pays, and deductibles, all against the person's business. The trick is the owner of the business can't own the policy and provide the medical benefits, the employee does. So I make sure that the spouse is the employee, or if I can't take advantage of that, what if I have children who work for you in the business? There's other opportunities there as well, but I can also have them covered for the eye surgery, the orthodontia work, that kind of stuff.
Well, if you're incorporated,
right,
or an LLC, you're going to be an employee of the company anyways.
Right. So in other words, if we decide to make you a corporation, and it can't be an S corp to take advantage of what I'm talking about because there's some special rules in that case, but a regular corporation, then you could have the owner also be the one taking advantage of all these deductions. If I have someone who hasn't got a spouse and it makes sense for them to be an S corporation or an LLC, not as a regular corporation, there are some other opportunities. There's a health savings accounts programs, not as good, but can still save $3,000 to $6,000 a year in medical expenses as well.
If there was one deductible that's overseen the most by people, whether it be realtors or even small business owners like subcontractors, what would that one be? Because it seems like what you're talking about is there's a bunch of money being left out there every year the IRS is just taking in, even though they've put out, here's a chance that you can write things off. What is the one that's most I
kind of alluded to it, but I think the most important one is business owners not structuring their business correctly, and usually if there aren't other offsetting opportunities, I try to set people up in S corporations and have them take a paycheck at what's called reasonable compensation. I give the extreme example when John Edwards ran for vice president and he shared his tax return. What we found is that he had an S corporation earning $25 million in profit, and he was taking a paycheck for $300,000. So that meant he was capping his Social Security taxes at the $300,000 and not having to pay Social Security Medicare taxes effectively on the rest of the $25 million. Sort of like $75 million that he didn't have to pay taxes on. $75,000 that he didn't have to pay taxes on because of that situation. Bring it back to the real estate agent who is walking away with net income of about $100,000. There's a person who can take advantage of those same rules and save at least $3,000 and maybe $5,000 a year in taxes that they're paying now if they're structured as a sole proprietor.
Wow.
See, I knew I should have elected. We should have elected Edwards. Good money manager.
Yeah.
Right. So that's probably the biggest one that
And a ladies' man.
Yeah, before we're going to have to go, but before we go, I wanted to ask, between an S corporation and an LLC, what's the big difference?
Well, an LLC is actually a hybrid. And the IRS assumes that when you create an LLC that you want to be taxed as a sole proprietor or a partnership if you have multiple owners. But an LLC can be a corporation, it can be taxed as a corporation as well. I defer to the attorneys how they want people to be structured. Usually I'm trying to have them be taxed as an S-Corp. If they choose an LLC, all I have to do is send an election to the IRS saying I want this LLC to be taxed as an S. So an LLC really is a hybrid. And more times than not, attorneys like that because piercing the corporate veil is not as big an issue. There's an awful lot of rules you have to follow with a corporation that you don't have to follow with an LLC that protects you. And I think, and that's more an attorney thing than a tax thing.
Well, I thank you for coming on, Paul. And that's Paul Dion, and he's a CPA. He wrote a book, The 10 Most Expensive Tax Mistakes That Cost Real Estate Agents Thousands.
How would
Now-
someone get a hold of you?
Well, that's what I was just going to ask.
Well, the phone number is 508-853-3292. They can also reach me at paul@pauldion.cpa.com.
Where can they get your book?
If they give us a call and tell us that they heard about you on your show, we'll send the book out to them free of charge. We normally charge us a $4 fee to send it out, but we'll make it free.
So you can save money on your taxes and get a free book if you mention the New England Real Estate Journal.
That's
Call
right.
Paul Dion.
Thank you, Paul Dion. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
It's New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com. Your home for commercial real estate news. It's New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with Eric Wilson. And we're...
You sounded excited when you mentioned me. Like, and Eric Wilson. That's why I could hear it in your voice.
No, I wasn't really that excited.
Oh, boo.
But we had an interesting week.
Yeah, what a great, weird show that everyone's going to get to watch.
Yeah, we're going to listen to our interviews and our banter up on the 12th story of the Troy Boston building.
Yeah.
Which was an incredible building.
It was really cool.
I mean, because of that view.
Yeah, 360 of the city.
I hope it's going to be the same thing once they put walls and windows up.
Yeah, I would say that other than the building that's right next to it, the one closest to the highway that they're building as well, it's like 11 stories. So anybody where we were, the 12th story up, will get the view, but anyone below will probably have about 270 degrees view instead of the 360, like 12 floors.
Yeah, no, the interesting thing about that, they also had a number of affordable apartments. Now,
Yep.
I'm not sure what affordable means in this day and age. But
In Boston?
yeah.
It's about $2,800 a month.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just kidding.
We have no idea how much that is. But it's interesting that they have set aside affordable apartments.
Yeah.
And especially in that area.
That's a good thing,
Yeah.
you know?
So the average Joe can now live in that area.
Yeah, I think that they did that in order to allow not just those who can afford it, but anybody can actually enjoy the amenities that they have around that area and also the views that that area provides as well. So I think that's really cool.
In perfect location because it's close to everything.
Yeah, right by the highway. It's in the ink block.
You can walk to the Southeast Expressway.
Yeah, right. I mean, we could have jumped off the building.
We
and,
coulda And I was tempted to push you.
yeah, I can imagine. I keep stealing all
kept
your
saying,
spotlights.
Hey, Eric, look over there. Look over there.
Oh, the
Never
funny,
get close to the
I was
edge.
up there the whole time, and all I kept thinking is, I wonder if they could do a rooftop disc golf league. That's all I kept thinking, and I was thinking,
Yeah, but he thinks that about everything.
yeah, I know.
But you were high up.
Yeah, right. I'd like to give a shout out, by the way, to Greenleaf Garrison for the Cape Cod Open that I was at this past Sunday. If Garrison financially did a great job putting that together, and the Cape Cod Brewing Company for sponsoring it.
Yeah, that was a great thing.
It was unbelievable. I love when the sport grows, and anybody who hasn't been out there, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll take you out discing. We'll have a great time.
Yeah, call me when they start making the clubs that hit the
To hit the plastic,
Yeah.
it'd be weird.
Yeah, but it has some kind of
I think they call that golf.
technique.
They call that ball golf. Oh man, I'll get you out there.
Yeah,
You guys cheating the system.
playing frisbee out in the middle.
It's
of
not
the golf
frisbee.
course.
It's disc.
I know. That's what I said. Frisbee.
Totally different thing. But anyway, so shout out to him. Thanks for everything.
Yeah. Well, we encourage Eric to get out once in a while.
Oh, we went on the IFMA Boost Cruise. Don't forget that was awesome
that's
too.
right.
Shout out to them. They
The
did. They
IFMA
put another
Boost
great event together for us, and we had a blast. You can check out all the photos on the Facebook page.
And they went out there and they came back the same night. Not like the whale watches.
Yeah, I know, right? The one right before that. I think we actually touched upon that yesterday at the Troy Boston building too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy thing to be out
It
there
was.
overnight.
It's crazy week. We have a tornado in Revere. We have
I know.
that whale
And
watching.
now you see that they're saying that there wasn't enough damage that they could qualify for FEMA,
Right.
and you're like, come on,
Now
this is
they gotta-
Massachusetts. You gotta take care of your baby.
Well, first, before you go and apply for FEMA, you should go and assess the damage, make sure you have enough value. If not, then you go out and break some more things.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's that's the Rick way of getting
That's
coverage. I would advise against that now that he's mentioned it on the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was what a crazy week. We had crazy weather. Yeah.
Now, that was awful nice of Paul Dion to offer his book to any of our listeners that
Yeah.
want to contact him.
Free shipping.
And yes, and if you want to contact him, you can call 508-853-3292 or 401, this is Rhode Island, 401-490-3193. Or you could email him at paul@pauldioncpa.com.
Or you can fax him at.
You can fax.
If you'd like to send a pigeon, his address is.
You want a fax number? You want a fax number?
Nice, Rick.
Well, I mean, it's a good offer.
It was a really good offer.
You know,
Just mention that you heard it here on the NEREJ
Yeah, you
radio
have to
show.
mention you heard it on the NEREJ radio show. And the
You
book
know.
is called The 10 Most Expensive Tax Mistakes That Cost Real Estate Agents Thousands.
So for all of our fans, especially down in Plymouth, you guys can call that number and get yourself a free book. Do you want
Yes.
to tell us? Do you want to tell our listeners that story? Because I think it's a great story. It should be
think-
shared as we. This should be our close.
It's a heartfelt story.
It is.
Yes.
So Rick was out
Do
drinking.
you want me to tell it? You want to tell it?
Rick was out drinking scotch, as always.
No, I was out, and I'm going to give a shout out to the bar that I
Yep.
was at, Halfway Cafe in Holbrook, and I was sitting there having dinner, and I had a couple of drinks, and a gentleman came into the bar and sat next to me. We started a conversation. He was telling me he was an insurance broker, and he asked me what I did. I told him I do a radio show, the New England Real Estate Journal Radio. He said, "Oh, you're kidding. I listened to that show. I used to listen to that show all the time."
Yeah, every week.
He said, when I was down in the Plymouth County Correctional, I listened to the show every week.
Oh,
So I was very happy to hear that we had a great listening
Great
bunch
following.
down in Plymouth County Correctional.
So Rick is now not only dresses like Johnny Cash, he really is the Johnny Cash of commercial real estate. I think he wants to do a show live from the PCI.
That's right. So if you're listening down at the Plymouth County Correction, we want to do our show live there on Cell Block C.
Yeah, just make sure you got a good singing voice, Rick, because that should be a lot of fun. But that was a great story. I thought everyone would enjoy that.
Yes. Actually, you were telling me Whitey Bulger was down there.
Whitey Bulger was in Plymouth Correction for
Because of
County
listening
Correction.
to our show, Whitey now is going to, when he gets out,
invest.
yeah, he's going to
He's going
start
to
buying a
reinvest
property.
back in developing new properties.
That's right.
I wouldn't count on that.
Yeah, I don't think he actually is going to get out ever.
Yeah, you think that's it?
Yeah, I think that's the end of it.
End of an era.
But that was. We also have some other cool things coming up too, right? I know
We
that
do.
September 8th is the IRM Golf Tournament. So if you haven't put your foursome in, make sure you do. Contact irmboston.org.
And September 25th?
We have the Cocktails and Conversations event down in the Hilton Providence. That's starting to fill out real quick because everyone's trying to get their early bird tickets.
And we got to get, all these associations. You
Yeah.
can come down, meet the leaders of the associations, people that are running your associations
Right.
for your industry.
And if you want a 10% discount to attend, make sure that you go sign up now before August 31st.
That's right. Tickets are normally $49. You get $10 off.
Right.
It's $39.
And I will
before
be
August
there
31st.
we'll be there doing the radio show.
We'll be doing the radio show. We'll be doing video interviews. And if you're lucky enough, you might even hear Corey might even sing for us.
Also, you
gonna
may
bring
be
his
lucky
guitar.
enough to get your book signed by Paul Dion.
That's right. Paul Dion might be there. And he
So
might
that
also
free
be
book that
signing
you
books.
just got, make sure you bring it to the show with yourself, and we'll get it signed for you.
So today's show is brought to you by, and everyday's show is brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at nerej.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com. And Eric, this deal is done.